welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Chelsea, and today in this video I'm so excited. I am doing my review of Crescent City 3, House of Flame and Shadow. I am so excited to talk about this book. I finally got it delivered to me. I had pre-ordered it and it didn't come until like a week after it came out. So I mostly listened to this, and I had to take a few days just to dissect all my thoughts and be able to talk about it at all. Overall, I really loved this book though. This is so beautiful. I'm just sad that I didn't get to actually read from it, but you know what? Let's see, look how pretty this is. But you know what? I'm gonna definitely need to do a reread of this at some point in the future. I'm taking at least a good couple months before I do that, because it was a lot. It was like 800 some odd pages of new information, which is super exciting. I'm just gonna jump right into my review. I haven't really read too many reviews or anything like that. I don't really want other people's thoughts to get too, rambled on with my own thoughts, but I really liked it. I had been really anticipating it, so I thought, there was a chance that maybe I wasn't gonna enjoy it, because when you over anticipate things, sometimes they're not as great as you thought they were gonna be. But this was really great. I thought it was really cool. I mean, obviously, spoilers for all of, I'm just gonna say all of Sarah J. Maas. Just who knows what I'm going to talk about, I don't know. But obviously, spoiler alerts for ACOTAR, because some of the characters, there's a crossover. Some of the characters play heavily into this, which is super exciting because I love ACOTAR, and I think this set up a lot of cool things for the next book whenever we're getting that in that series. But anywho, I thought it was a really sweet conclusion for Hunt and Bryce. I wasn't really worried that they were going to be killed off or anything like that, but they started, the beginning of this book, they started, apart. And Hunt was with Rune and Baxian, I don't know why I'm laughing, being tortured and captured, and that was really rough. I knew that's where we were going to start, and I'm really glad that they weren't there for too long. I guess, I don't know if I want to go by like section or by character. I have a bunch of scenes that I know were like my faves. But I guess if we were gonna go by character, I love Mr. Hunt Appelar. So yes, like I said, he kind of started off in not a great situation. I really didn't know where they were heading with like his lightning and them taking little pieces of it, or a piece of it. So that was like interesting reveals. We finally got to figure out his parentage and all that, which I thought was pretty interesting, but it's kind of what a lot of people had theorized that it was. And I was just really excited that he and Bryce got back together. Like I said, they were separated, and the ending was pretty, I really loved it, and then it just kind of ended. So I'm definitely thinking there's supposed to be more books. I know this is the conclusion to Hunt and Bryce's story though, so that's kind of bittersweet, but I thought it really ended sweetly with the two of them. The only thing I probably didn't like between them is that they were kind of arguing during parts of this book, and like it's valid, to have arguments, but there's a lot going on, and I was just kind of like, why are we arguing right now? They really came through in the end, and Bryce, obviously, we can talk about too. I ate up all of it. Every second that she was in Prythian was really great. I wasn't sure where, that's what I mean by like anticipation versus reality. I like kind of had some thoughts of where we were gonna maybe go with this, but obviously I'm not Sarah J. Maas, and she knows where everything's gonna go. And I kind of like books to sort of, there's certain books where I like to kind of guess what's happening or what's gonna happen, and then there's other books in like fantasy world specifically that I like kind of just to, I don't know, happen to me or fall like over me, and I just kind of take in whatever it is. And I definitely feel like that with all of Sarah J. Maas books, is that I'm kind of the latter. I just kind of like just to take it all in and let it kind of like fall over me and then make sense of it later, if that makes any sense. Not really guessing what was gonna happen. I like knew she was there, but I didn't know like if we were gonna go on adventures there. We got a lot more of her in Prithian than I thought we were going to. I kind of just thought she would be there and then she would like talk to them and figure some stuff out and then she'd get right out. But she was there for a while, and I loved how much she was interacting with both Nesta and Asriel. They have a whole arc together, which I really loved. Those are two of my favorite ACOTAR characters. Nesta is just a badass, and it was really cool to see. I loved seeing those characters in Bryce's POV, just seeing them from like a whole nother person that doesn't know them or their like back history at all was really, really cool. And I really liked how they didn't trust her at all, and a lot of fun, Asriel too, a lot of fun stuff that I can't wait for his book, because that's just gonna be such a good time. But basically, just so this isn't a million hours long, I'm not gonna go through beat by beat, but they're going through a cave. She meets up with Nesta, and I pretty much thought they'd be friends kind of from the start, so I thought it was kind of funny how they slowly, just because in all of her books, those two characters, Nesta and Bryce, seem just so similar to me, so I was just like, they make sense actually a lot more than like putting Bryce with Feyre or something. I also thought it was just kind of cool that they were on like sort of a quest. She's being guided by her like star that's in her chest and keeps lighting up, kind of showing her the way so they can have a big reveal info dump sesh. It's just why I need to reread this book, because there's so much stuff in here. But it was really fun for all that kind of crossover bits and pieces. We also got I guess some people would say a direct link to Throne of Glass. I took it as kind of a direct link, so I think there's been a lot more crumbs set for that, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing more from those characters at some point. Everything with Bryce, Nesta, and Asriel was amazing. I thought it was so funny when she tried to explain what a cell phone was. I thought that the whole Midgard worm seed sounded really, really funny, and I could totally see Bryce like doing that and trying to like get away from them and then trying to help them out. It was funny when she took the dagger and then she like kind of pieced out. I thought that was really funny too. I really liked, even though we only got him for a little bit, I thought all the Rhysand stuff was really, really right on. And Amren too. I think that their interaction with her was funny, but also just made a lot of sense, and it was a good time. I kind of wish we had a little more with Rhys, just because he's such a fun character to watch, again, through like another person's eyes that doesn't know the backstory or anything. And one of the funniest things too was probably when I was so excited when Nesta came back, and Bryce opens up a portal and she goes where Nesta is, and then she basically leaves her parents in Prithian, which I just thought was the funniest thing for some reason, because I just pictured my parents for some reason being thrown in with the Fae, and that was really funny. But yeah, I loved that, and I love that Nesta ended up giving her the mask, and then she brought all of that back. That was just like, it was just mind-boggling when I was first reading all these characters together, so it definitely took a minute to just be like, this is happening, they're all in the same place. Wild. A lot of foreshadowing, I'm sure, for new books, especially the way we left off with Nesta. So that was very fun. I thought it was so adorable too when the end, when Hunt and Bryce ends up basically taking over Griffin Antiquities, because Jessica leaves it to her and kind of sacrifices herself. And I've always thought Jessica was a really cool character too, so I really liked that she sort of like stepped up in this one. I would say, and that end was fun with the like Pegasus being a thing again with Baxian. Very cool, very cool. I don't really want to talk about Rune getting his hand bitten off, but that's really the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Rune in this story. I like the whole day and night relationship really grew on me in the last book. I don't think I cared about it so much the first time through, but when I was rereading it, I really, really liked it. Rune and Lydia. Oh, let's talk about Lydia, because she is such a good character. What a badass. Like, she, not only has she been like basically playing a double agent this whole time, and she not only gets them out of the castle, she takes down like the entire spine too. And I loved that scene. I could not stop listening. I just thought it was like cinematic in my mind when it was happening. And I love a good chase scene, but when they were getting out and then she turns into her like deer form, and then you thought she died. It was kind of, not a cliffhanger, obviously, because it was just the end of a chapter. And then she was fine, but I was just like, she better not die. Rune has been through enough. Rune and Hunt and Baxian get taken out of the dungeons, and they're taken by Lydia, and then they're taken to a ship where the Ocean Queen like oversees the ship. And then we find out that Lydia has twin sons, which we didn't know. And I really liked that reveal, actually. It made a lot of sense, because I had been wondering when exactly did she turn, because they hadn't gotten into a lot of her backstory until this book, and I really liked her POVs. Yeah, so she has two sons that she had never really met, not since they were babies, because when she got pregnant, she sort of left working for the Asteri and kind of made it look like she was kidnapped or something. And then she had these babies, and then ended up making a deal with the Ocean Queen that they'd have foster parents and were adopted basically, and they would be well cared for. And then she was going to go back and be a spy for the Ocean Queen and like for the resistance movement. So we didn't know she had sons, and they just met her, but they know who she is because of TV, and she's like obviously not a good person in their world. So it's a rocky start, but I think it's so cute because Rune was just like so confused by that. And then Pollux takes the kids later on in the story and uses them to lure her in while this huge battle is happening. Like the big climax of the whole book is happening with the Asteri and their castle. And I just was so excited. There was a few characters that I could not wait to die in this series, and I knew they were gonna die in these books. And I would say Paxian was definitely one. And I was so thrilled when that happened, because I was like, Lydia, yes, finally. And he took her kids too, so it was awful. And I loved that whole scene, Rune declaring that they're mates, obviously, but it's just nice to hear that, and their story, so sweet. I don't know if I'm going to talk about all of the bonus chapters, because I did end up reading them all, and I thought theirs was really sweet. They end up getting married, and I hope they're in, when they do more books, I hope they're still in it in some way, because they're really good characters, and I feel like we didn't get like a ton with them, just because obviously we didn't even really have the day and night thing until House of Sky and Breath. So, but I thought their love story too was kind of wrapped up nicely, if that is it with them. We could talk about Ethan, because I would say, not that I don't like Ethan, but all his stuff throughout the whole series has kind of been like, okay, that's what he's doing. And it's kind of how it started here again. Of just like, I guess he's going on his own side quest, which was interesting, but like there were so many big things happening. But I really liked that he ended up being Prime. I think he's going to be in a lot more of the Crescent City books going forward, because we still don't really know a few things with how it ended with him. And I can't think of the girl's name that he killed, and then she became a Reaper. But the Fenris heir, too, I feel like will come into play again. And then there was some weird stuff with Poppy that I totally haven't looked into yet, if there's any weird theories. But he like mentions her and her smell like staying the same he mentions it a couple of times, so I don't really know. The Prime was killed by Sabine, and then he killed Sabine, and now he's Prime. And I really kind of liked at the end of this that all of our main characters kind of became, because the political system's kind of been trashed now from Bryce, but all of those systems are kind of now being led by all the people that we know. Just like Hypaxia is now in charge of the House of Flame and Shadows. And the only other thing with Ethan, I just wasn't sure if we were gonna have him. I thought for some reason he was gonna die, so I was actually really, so that's what I mean, you can't anticipate certain things, because the things that I thought weren't even close to true. For some reason I thought if someone was to die in this book, I was thinking it would be him. But instead, what I didn't think would happen at all was he actually got to talk to his brother, Connor, from the first one. And they went to the Bone Quarter and he got to talk to him. And it was really, actually a really nice scene. It was very moving. And I loved that they had kind of all of the dead had kind of grouped together to form that bullet for Bryce and to help her bring down the Asteri. So that was a really sweet moment. I was kind of like, I wouldn't say I was in tears through this whole book, but there was a lot of like almost tears and just kind of like taking in the information. But again, I mean, I read it within a couple of days, so it was just sort of like being washed over me. So yeah, I really loved, I ended up loving all of the stuff with Ethan, and he didn't die. I was also kind of worried about Therian, just because the way he was left in the last book. And while he is such a fun character to follow, because he's kind of constantly making like the wildest choices and mistakes. But I wasn't sure if he was going to be okay, and he kind of had an almost death as well when he was helping Rune and Lydia. But I thought the whole reveal of like the water source being part of the Asteria's plan, and I just thought, even though it was kind of a lot, I just kind of liked the way Bryce pieced together how to, you know, defeat them using the sword and the dagger together. Yeah, it all came to a head during that battle, and having Hel come to help was an interesting concept that I wasn't sure we were going to actually get. So that was fun too. I think Therian will probably be a fixture in the next books too, because this is kind of the end of Hunt and Bryce's story. So I don't know, I think it would make sense to follow him some more. And I guess I'll go through some of my favorite scenes, because I'm not going to go through and tell you every moment of this book, even though I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, everything Bryce, Nesta, and Az was great. I really thought it was funny. It was a good idea just to have her take that bean and be able to talk to them, because I wasn't sure how they were going to be communicating. And then I really liked their dynamic a lot. I really liked Nesta and Az a lot. Nesta's come a really long way, so it's cool to kind of see her as just like this badass warrior. Really liked, like the cell phone thing was really funny, because she was just like, we've been trying to figure out what it does, and their worlds are just so different and they don't have any tech, so Bryce even trying to explain it like didn't make any sense. It's also interesting because Azrael's like shadow magic, I think, will come into play more. I mean, there was a lot of setup for the next book in this with those characters, and we're definitely going to be following them more. So it's just interesting to kind of get these little tidbits here and there, because the next one's going to be really fun. Another favorite scene, I already said everything with Ember and Randall, her parents, her human parents being left there. And then the scene when she comes back to get them, and they've been having a good time with Nesta and Cassian, and are cool with Reese. So that was really fun. One of the bonus chapters focused on like right when they first got them, or when they first got there after Bryce left them, and it was just kind of funny to see how they were relating with the Fae and how they were kind of talking it out. I loved the scene when Lydia got them out. I said that already. I also really loved, as much as I loved seeing Pollux die, I had been waiting and eagerly hoping for the Autumn King to die, and he does, and it was fantastic. I'm glad the way it went down. When Bryce first showed up back in Crescent City and she was in her father's house, I thought, there's something's gonna happen, and then she's gonna hopefully kill him. And when that didn't happen, I was just like, oh, I hope he doesn't live through this whole book. Don't worry, Rune got him. He's a really awful character, so normally I don't really wish too many people dead, but he's not as bad as the Asteri, but he's a really bad dude. So I was just kind of hoping he would die earlier in the book, but I liked that Rune got to do it. Yeah, I was just really into this book. Crescent City, for when I very first read the first one, I didn't realize I was gonna like it as much. And I think what it is that I just really love all of these characters a lot. And even though I like a lot of her other worlds, I don't know if it's just the urban setting or, because even in the other books, there's characters I don't care as much about. And when we get their POVs, it's not that exciting. But in this world, for whatever reason, everyone's just awesome. And I'm just really glad we got to come up with some sort of ending. And then going forward, I don't know what they're going to do. Like I said, the politics, like the whole structure's been kind of crumbled. So they're going to have to start over with that. And then their like first light problem with a lot of their tech and stuff, at least I think most of it is kind of runs off the first light, so they're gonna have to find some other resource, which I'm sure they'll figure out, but so they can still have their tech and magic. But I feel like there's gonna be more in the next one for some of the characters that I mentioned that weren't really wrapped up in this, which is gonna be fun. And I'm sure there's just more books before we get another big crossover event, but I feel like we'll probably see them in some of those as well. I'm sure it'll take like several years for that to even happen. I can't wait to reread this. It sounds so insane because it's so big. But it was so good. I really, really liked it. Like I said, I haven't read too many reviews of it, so I don't know if everyone feels the same. But for a series that I was always just sort of like, I don't know if I like it as much as our other series. Obviously, Sky and Breath kind of blew me away and was just a lot. And then after rereading that a few times, I really, really enjoyed like all of the stuff that happens in there. And then, I mean, not just the ending, but the characters and how this book started was just wild. I'm really glad we went back to Prithian a little bit and got to do a little more with Nesta. And I can't wait. I guess I'll just say definitely 5 stars. I needed like days to think about it before I could even do this review. There were a few things that I didn't love. I don't mean to be like a gushing review, but I guess, honestly, the only thing I didn't love, and I'll have to reread it again to like feel if the pacing was too rushed, was a little bit at the end of just figuring out how to kill all of the Asteri. I thought went by really quickly, just considering most of the book she was trying to figure out how. But we didn't get like a scene where she like one by one like goes through and like is killing them. Which again, I guess it's just me like pretending I know how to write books, being like, well, they're probably gonna do a whole thing where they do all this, and then it actually ended up being, the climax ended up being about a few other things and that. And she was able to defeat them and kind of figure out, she was willing to sacrifice herself in the black hole, and then Hunt saves her. And I actually really, really liked that a lot better than how I thought it was going to go down, where she just kind of took one out at a time. And yeah, the only other thing, the Bryce and Hunt relationship stuff I liked, but like was also like, come on, there's so much going on that I don't really know if I want them arguing like they're part of this book. Not really arguing, but just like not discussing it. Just because, you know, Hunt was in prison again, which was his biggest fear because he was a prisoner for so long and a slave for so long. I really like that he found out like his lineage and stuff too, so he can kind of understand his power set a bit more and be even more helpful in a fight. And I liked that once they finally got together, I wasn't sure how long in the book we'd have to wait, and I was really happy when she was just where he was. So yeah, 5 stars. Wonderful book. Really liked it. Thank you guys for watching my review. Hopefully it made some sense, but it was a lot. I'm still sort of digesting all my thoughts on it, but overall I really liked it. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel, and then I'll see you in the next one.